The Square Ball Podcast.
Hello, welcome to the show. It's brought to you with Levi Solicitors, who will do you a 10% discount on your legal fees at levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. Michael?
Yes.
Who's your favourite firm of solicitors?
Well, Levi Solicitors.
And what do they do?
Well, they do the conveyancing, they do the probate, they do the wills.
In that order? Any order you like of those three?
That's a given. But they also do loads of other stuff, business stuff, personal stuff.
Yeah.
Get in touch.
What's your favourite one of all the none that we've... I mean, I ask you this every week. I'm surprised you've not learned to answer this question yet.
That one.
The
professional negligence.
Which is what you just had a nice example of there.
That's the one.
On this show. Remote appointments available for you. Check out the booking system online, levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. It's Dan here with Michael and with Moscow as well in his beautiful Packard Bell blue Puma shirt.
It's a lovely shirt.
And you're wearing that because we're doing a TSB guide that's going to come out on Wednesday to...
No, I'm not. It's a complete coincidence.
Is it?
Yes. I know we're doing a TSB guide to Michael Bridges scoring a hat-trick against Southampton wearing this shirt.
Yes.
But I only found that out after I put it on this morning and came to the studio. What a magical... It's just an example of what a great, exciting planet we live on and how different things happen and they're all fun.
I would have worn mine as well, but mine has QL19 on the back, so it has to just live in a cupboard.
Mm-hmm. Will it not come off the back?
I've been tempted because I do like the shirt.
But would you still get the outline? And
potentially, yeah. It's like Harry Kewell leaves a stain, doesn't he? That's the thing with Harry.
Yes. So this is Propaganda, the show where we delve into what's been said in the world of football, particularly through a Leeds lens over the last 7 days.
Not great.
No, it's not been great. Should we start on Chelsea just to remind ourselves that things can be awful no matter where you are in the football world?
I mean, they've spent £1 billion or something, haven't they?
Surely they should be the happiest fans in the world, knowing they've got a young, exciting manager, a new project underway.
Seems not.
No. Where's this from then?
I'm not entirely sure. It was doing the rounds on Twitter. I recognise one of the guys from Chelsea Fan TV. He's not the one speaking. It's worth saying. He's just in the top corner of the video, smirking as other people absolutely go mad. But it's one of these bizarre formats where they have like 10 people on screen who can all talk at once.
Yeah, it's good as that. It's a good format.
Yeah,
if I talk over you, like start talking.
Yeah, it's great.
If I start talking over you, yeah.
So they did just end up shouting and shouting and shouting and getting more upset with each other.
And they lost to Southampton.
They did.
And this was the result.
Absolute wuss. You're a wuss, bruv. You're a wuss, bruv.
Guys, anyone want to talk about
restructuring? Show you my face, bruv. Yeah, show you my face, bruv. Yeah, there you go, you fucking prick. Don't fucking come like that at me, son, yeah? Don't you fucking ever talk to me like that, bruv.
Bring it.
You fucking rat.
Yeah, I'm a rat.
You fucking rat, bruv.
Yeah, you're a fucking piece.
You're a rat, bruv.
Like you love the academy.
You fucking...
That was some fairly serious accusations there.
So that's where Chelsea fans are at the moment. That was one part of it. So
and this is just hang on a second. Where are they in the table?
I'd like 10th.
Let me just check.
I'm pretty sure they're 10th.
I'm just going to refresh my table. Bear with me. I'll tell you. Chelsea are 10th.
Thank you very much. Thank you for confirming.
You're welcome, Michael.
I do have a theory that Chelsea are going down.
Okay.
Like whenever I'm trying to make myself feel better about how Leeds United are doing, I look at Chelsea's recent form.
They're on 31 points, Moscow.
Yeah, but I think how many have they won since Christmas? Is it 1 or 2?
None, probably.
There's at least one win in there, so they're slightly better than us. But there's still, there is a scenario in which I imagine Chelsea just don't win again. Mm-hmm. Very much as Newcastle were not going to this time last year.
And maybe as well, like because they've got Potter in, maybe there's some big punitive clause in his contract that means they can't get rid of him before the end of the season, so they're in now for the next 15 games, whatever, and they've got to stick with him.
Yeah,
and it'll cost them £1 trillion to pay him off.
I remember he's a Leeds Met old boy as well, so he could be doing us a favour. He knows the Otley run, so there's a bit of a. That's my angle for getting him in. Like he could maybe come in at the end of the season because he knows the Lawnswood roundabout, and he could.
We should probably
still take them down.
Explain what the Otley run is as well for anyone who is not familiar with Leeds. It's Otley Road. It's not anything to do with running or actually specifically Otley. Otley Road runs from the outer edge of town into town. It's lined with pubs all the way, and the Otley run is to drink your way from the start where the university accommodation is all the way into town.
I don't know how many pubs it is now. It used to be about 18 or something. I think it may have declined slightly.
A bit like a golf course.
Yeah,
18
it's
holes.
tough going. Students do it in fancy dress.
Yeah.
As a grown up, I probably wouldn't bother.
When was the last time you wore fancy dress? And did you enjoy it?
I used to have to do it for ITV stuff. There's always like away days, and it'd be like dress up as something. I can't remember what.
Dress up as a TV star.
That was one of them. I did Susan.
Dress up-
I did Susan Boyle one year.
No,
Actually,
okay.
it was quite good.
Dress up as a shame TV star. Not Susan Boyle, I should
Not
say.
Susan Boyle. No.
She was great. Moscow fancy dress, are you a fan?
Yeah, it's fun.
Good.
What is that? What you're in now?
Cosplaying as Michael Bridges?
Yes, I have cosplayed as Michael Bridges. Danny Mills felt like it was going to be a bit too difficult. Yeah, fully in favour.
Good. Right, should we get the Leeds Misery Mega Mix out of the way right now then?
Might as well. I mean, there are a couple of mega mixes actually.
There's an A side and a B side.
There's an A and a B, yeah. So the board do get a mention on this. This is mainly to do with kind of the game and the state of the team and the players, etc.
So are we playing side A here or side B, just so I know which side of the record to put on?
Let's say A. This
Okay.
is, and then side B is more board focused.
I mean, this is actually radio edit length. This is 2 minutes and 46 seconds. So settle in, put on your favourite pair of headphones and enjoy.
Oh, fucking hell. That was just shocking. Absolutely shocking. Wishing to get manager in this week, like before the Southampton game. Whether it's Benitez, whether it's Nuno, whether it's fucking Dave Hockaday. Just someone who can get us organised, get us playing football that might look like we might get results somewhere. We need to pick up points, need wins now. I can't go back to the Championship. I cannot fucking go back there. I'm just going to pack it all in and go watch fucking curling or something.
Dyche wanted it to be physical and scrappy and shit, and we made it physical and scrappy and shit. And I'm not blaming Scoobs. I'm blaming the idiots above Scoobs who've put our fate in the hands of a futsal coach.
Horrible performance. I honestly don't know where we're going to go with this. It just seems that, it's not just the coaches what's the problem, it's the players. They don't seem to have anything about them anymore, and they just look like they've given in.
I thought you couldn't score if you weren't in the middle of the pitch. That was what Jesse Marsh said, right? So can Seamus Coleman's goal count? Because, he wasn't in the centre of the field. So, it's against the rules, I think.
That's relegation material, that is. That was diabolical. Nothing up front. Could not string passes together. No ball control. No flair. The goal, oh, God's sake. We look like fodder. If anyone thinks we're not going to be relegated, I think you're delusional. Next week, I'll back us in. We'll get a draw at home to Southampton. Won't be good enough. Everyone's winning around us. That was utterly deplorable. Well done, board. Played the long game with this, appointing Marsh in the first place. Now we are just bottom three rabble.
Feels harsh to pick out anyone after that horrendous performance. But Patrick Bamford. Seems like a nice guy, but I don't care if his pressing stats are good. He inspires zero confidence with the ball at his feet. We've broken our transfer record for a router. I have no idea if he's any good, but we just have to throw him in and see how he gets on. We are in big trouble.
Well, lads, that's it. I mean, if that's how we're going to play every week, let's just get ready for the Championship. Let's start selling people. That was just fucking terrible. The worst game I've ever seen Jackie play. Today he couldn't deliver a pizza, let alone a cross. Absolutely fucking terrible. Oh, I'm sad now.
There you go then. So
I'm sad now.
No flair, no ball control, coaches, players and board all at fault. But apart from that,
the playing style thing's interesting. It was someone with no name actually sent in some text feedback saying over the past 4 years we've played football defined by two extreme styles, and now we're left with an unbalanced team. And it does feel like that. We had a plan for attack, and then we completely changed it, and now we need to change it back, or at least put it somewhere in the middle. And we haven't done it for a year, so they're like, oh shit, what now?
Curling. One of the clips there suggested curling might be an option. I'm a fan of curling. It's good. The brushes on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be should we start a team?
I mean, there is the ice arena next door, isn't there? Next to Ellen Road.
Well, we could just bulldoze Ellen Road, turn it all into parking, make it complete park and ride, pop over to the ice arena, watch the curling.
Okay. I suppose it'd be... I don't think it's got the longevity. I think once every 4 years or whatever in the Winter Olympics is fine, but I don't want to do that every week.
Did you have a nice weekend watching it then, Moscow?
Not particularly, no.
Did you make it to Goodison, by the way? Because there was rumours of you maybe getting there.
I did go to Goodison, and it was probably as bad as everybody I can't bring back any reasons for positivity apart from maybe I can. Everton are also awful, and I think we were one Seamus Coleman moment of inspiration and one Ilon Melier moment of dumbness away from a 0-0 draw, which was probably what it should have been. And I don't know how different the atmosphere would have been if we got a point instead of none. But it wasn't like Everton are great. I suppose the one reason for positivity I had out of it is that if it comes down to like a shootout between us and Everton are also terrible. The problem is they're still good enough to beat us. So that's bad. That's the best I can do, really.
Oh, no, that works for me. Well, we are talking on Tuesday morning. It's 11:20 at the moment we speak. Gracia has not been announced yet as the coach of Leeds United. Going to be, though.
Dave Hockaday missed out by.
No,
I mean, he was one of the names touted there, wasn't he?
Yeah.
In that clip?
Would you have him back?
Nope.
No?
No, just to be clear.
I just wanted to get the consensus of the room there on that one. Blue Room, then. Did they call it right?
Pretty much. I think it more or less echoed what we said.
I said just before, dog of a game, but it felt like it was one Everton were always more likely to win in the end.
I think so, and a massive sweet relief for us given this season, the fact we haven't been able to rely on any game whatsoever. I've tried to boil it down because there's so much relief, so much emotion at the moment. I've tried to boil it down to simple terms, and the simple terms are we restricted Leeds to 0 shots on target, to barely any threat whatsoever. We managed the game and we won it. So we can talk about the overall quality, but we won the game. We deserve to win the game. It feels fantastic, and I just hope there's more very soon.
I actually thought Everton were quite poor today, to be honest. There were two shockingly bad teams, but we were less shockingly bad than they were.
Imagine what that feels like, winning.
Well, I watched the under-21s last night, and that was a great win.
Was it? Did you enjoy that? Did you feel pumped by the victory?
I mean, it was fine. I think it's the first win by any Leeds United team in 2023. Men's team.
The women.
Men's team. Sorry, I think the under-21s and the under-18s have all continually lost since the turn of the year. So,
but the FA Cup?
It was a win.
So actually, there's been loads of wins, hasn't there?
A win at the level you play at.
Right.
Not just handing out spankings to teams that are struggling.
Well done, he's 13.
In the low, yeah, exactly.
I mean, we did draw with Cardiff first to make them look good. The Everton fans there need to be sort of a little bit careful as well about. I mean, I understand them enjoying the win, but also they had a big protest through the streets with banners and flags calling for their ball to be sacked before the game, and then all you do is Seamus Coleman puts in a ball behind the goalkeeper, and suddenly it's like it's fireworks and celebration on the streets of Liverpool. So it's kind of. They are very...
We're all tarts, aren't we, as football fans? It's like on Saturday, if Leeds win, we'll come back in here and do the match ball and we'll be exactly the same.
Yeah, and a lot of it came down to, I guess it's that moment of quality. They say they restricted us to no shots. We could have had some shots if Pat Bamford would use his left foot. His right foot, sorry, or use his left foot when the ball was cut across and he waved his left foot at it and missed it, that's what he's going to do with his left foot. He may as well use his right foot if he's not even going to hit the ball with his proper one. So there were little opportunities in there, and I think us going forward was pretty bad because we couldn't make anything happen in their box, and that's reflected in the no shots on target thing. But they were pretty bad going forward as well because all their through balls were just kind of going out of play, and all their crosses were going out for throw-ins on the other side and stuff. So they didn't really have it just didn't feel like there was much in it. We almost were having our best bit before they scored, which is kind of typical. There was an element of like, maybe we are going to fluke something, but they fluked it. I felt from the early stages of the game, when we started all right and Everton's fans were still pretty angry about their protest, it looked like two teams that needed to avoid conceding a stupid goal. And the longer you could go without conceding a stupid goal, the better chance you had of winning the game. And then whatever it was on the hour, we conceded a stupid goal first, and then that was pretty much that, wasn't it? And trying to get back from there. But I'm looking for any kind of good play. McKennie and Adams really disappointed me in midfield up against the three that Everton had in there because they were just too easily dispossessed, and McKennie in particular didn't seem to be strong enough. Adams ended up sort of charging around trying to fix things, but he didn't have I think because McKennie is supposed to be doing the other half of that kind of defensive job, but he's not as good at it as Adams is. It was a bit like when we replaced Calvin last season with two in that area. It was like we somehow had two players who were not as good at doing what Calvin used to do on his own, and it felt like with McKennie next to Adams, it wasn't as good defensively as what Adams would have done on his own without McKennie in there kind of doing a worse job of what he was doing next to him. And then once they win the ball and you're looking for something to go forward, they can't really do that. And certainly not when the player receiving the ball is Jackie Harrison having a psychological crisis. There was nothing coming out of that area. So it was pretty easy for Everton to look at Gnonto and go, right, every time he has the ball, we put 3 on him. And then Somerville kind of, we never really tried it with him because everyone knows Gnonto's better. So just give your best player the ball and hope. So it was fairly easy for Everton to stop us doing anything in that direction. But we don't have to play them again, so hopefully other teams are sort of less Daichi.
Jackie's stats in this game were remarkable because it was his 46% pass completion. He normally manages 69.6 is his average across the season, so it's a ridiculous drop-off. Like he doesn't normally do this. I know he frustrates a lot of people, but it was weird. Some of the stuff he did, you just went...
It's amazing. The whole house of cards just like collapses, doesn't it? Sometimes
you could see some of the players. I think it was after maybe his third or fourth free kick had just floated out of play. Robin Koch made a point because obviously Robin Koch has run all the way forward to get on the end of that he'd try and head at the goal, and it just goes miles over his head. But as he was running back, he made a point of running to Jackie and kind of putting an arm on him, like, look, don't worry about it, just keep going. We're not mad at you. And Ayling was shouting across it as well, like, come on, it's okay. And then he did the next one, and it was the same thing again. And it was after that he had that, tried to control a throw in and just booted it into the stand. And you could, I think by that point, the players who had been trying to sort of help him snap out of it were just, he's gone, hasn't he? I don't know what you could do about it apart from...
It's over for today. Get
him off the pitch, and then you can probably play him against Southampton and he'll be back to normal. But sometimes things just don't happen.
Well, this is all very serious. Should we just laugh at a simple man?
Go on, we can do.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Is he a Chelsea fan?
He is, yeah. Rory. On the sheet here you've put Rory the dickhead, and I put in brackets Chelsea simpleton.
He's got a few nicknames.
Yeah, I mean,
is he a wuss? Is he a prick? Is he a rat?
Be careful. Keep this on the right side of legally defensible.
I won't say the other thing because I don't think he's that.
No. It's worth adding that we were paid money by TalkSport to talk up or do a read for Rory's podcast on their network.
I think we did a fine job, didn't we?
Yeah, we earned quite a decent amount of money off that. To be perfect. Do you know how much it was? No?
No.
It's quite good.
That's good. Good. Yeah. I'm glad someone can benefit from his output.
It was in the 3 figures. So now we are going to go in on him again. So if you want to pay us more money to take the piss out of you, Rory, go for it. Anyway, this is him.
We have absolutely nothing. There is no identity. I don't think Graham Potter has a clue who his first 11 are. I don't think he knows anything like what his best team are. And there are so many excuses, always. And let's face it, the manager is to blame. The manager is to blame. The reason that Chelsea lost to Southampton is because of Graham Potter. That's a fact, by the way. That is a fact. James Ward-Prowse is brilliant at taking free kicks, sure. Azpilicueta, who I hope is okay, by the way, but Azpilicueta should be more careful.
I mean, have I edited that to make it sound like he's saying Azpilicueta should be more careful not to get kicked in the face? Yes, I have. He did go on to explain that he was the one who gave away the free kick to Southampton that led to the goal. But that's not what I wanted. I wanted it to sound like he was blaming his own player for getting volleyed in the head, which did look very painful, I have to say.
I didn't see that. But,
You'd not seen it? Oh, it was bad.
No.
It was one where the ball was kind of tantalisingly there for an overhead kick from, I think it was the guy we knew his name was Mara. He went for a big spectacular kick and he made good contact.
It was strong, wasn't it?
Got to enjoy Rory's entirely over-the-top, earnest tone. Is one of my favourite things.
Yeah, a fact, by the way. It's interesting bringing it all down to Potter completely to blame when Graham Potter seems to be just being constantly given £100 million footballers he doesn't want or need, and is just like told to make the best of it. It's quite a weird situation. It's funny thinking about that in kind of what happened at the weekend with us of having Skabala versus Deitch, which was the the grand experiment that I think last week we were quite interested in and thinking best idea that anybody's got is giving Skubala the next game or two, or maybe to the end of the season, if it turns out that the players know enough and are coached enough and have retained enough from the managers they've had over the last few years to just go out and perform. And then I guess we've got an answer to how that works. And it's weird, isn't it? What do we expect a manager to do? Because that's what I was asking last week, as if we'd got Nuno in on Thursday, how much of a dramatic difference would he have made to what happened at Everton? Because it was still maybe been a Skubala job. But then somehow watching Deitch on the touchline, it's almost like his big head just radiates the plan somehow. And all he has
like
to
Mega
do...
Mind.
Yeah, like I don't know what it is that, like, anymore... Because it is an interesting question, because obviously we've been through it with Bielsa where everything was absolutely built by this one figure, and we'd seen before it, like what Christensen and Heckingbottom and Evans and Monk and everybody who came before had not been able to do. So you'd obviously, like, the test there is sort of proves Bielsa's influence from then on. But then bringing them to this point, you think, well, a lot of those same players, do they need it? Because they're not championship players. They're not useless. They've got all that education. It should all be in the tank. So could you just say, here's Skubala, and what he does is he sets up training and he tells you the weaknesses of the opposition and he sends you out to just go and put on a good performance, and you know what to do because you are all Premier League footballers. And there is that thing like, who are the stars? Who's in control of the game? Who do you want to watch? Because so many of the managers, when it's pitched on Sky and stuff, and it's just like, two really old blokes, that's what you're going to be watching. And actually, no, you're going to be watching 22 like fantastic athletes at the peak of their powers, but we focus on the managers as like everything. And as Rory's there saying, Potter, fact, that's the only thing. And if you swap Potter for anybody else, everything's fixed. And then we try it with Skubala and like, yeah, maybe that is the thing.
I want you to imagine a record deck now, if you could. And is this an accurate description of this clip here? It's more Chelsea stuff, Chelsea Fan TV. They've put the record on the turntable, press play, it's on 33, and then some way through, someone goes boop and puts it onto 45. Is that right, Michael?
Yeah, it gets a little bit. I think he starts off trying to be quite slow and considered. Gets more and more
animated
as it goes on.
To translate 33 to 45 into something that under 25s might understand.
Oh,
from slow to fast.
They love record players now, the kids.
I suppose
they connect them up via USB and stuff, but they love them.
Brendan Aronson and Tyler Adams have got them, haven't they? We've seen those. So.
Yeah, the vinyl resurgence.
You've won one game in 2023, and the first thing you're thinking is that you need to rest players against bottom of the table Southampton. What manager does that? What? Maybe if we were like, I don't know, in a title race, or had to worry about Champions League, or had to worry about this, then maybe you can rest players. But when we are struggling in a season ourselves, you don't drop fucking players, key players like Reece James, against fucking teams scrapping against relegation battle. They're bottom of the fucking table, and you've rested players. Everything today is on that stupid, clueless twat Potter. Get him out this club now. Anyone who wants to be Potter in still after this game needs their head checked. He is clueless. He has lost Chelsea's identity.
Maybe Rory was right.
I mean, lack of squad depth certainly is an issue that Chelsea have to deal with, isn't it? That if you're not playing your first 11 all the time, there's really nobody in the reserves who you can possibly bring in of a similar standard.
I mean, Chelsea's identity as well. This is essentially being it. They just go, they spend more than everyone else on players. This is since, when did Abramovich come in? 2003, something like that.
2003, wasn't it?
Of course, because then Bates arrived at us, didn't he? So
it's been the most like short-termist approach ever.
They outspend everyone, and when it doesn't work, they change managers, and then the next manager does all right for a bit, and then they sack him. They're just in the bit where they're not doing very well, and they sack a manager, and then the next one does fine.
Yeah, this is normal Chelsea.
It's absolutely
fine. They should be delighted with it.
And they've got all these players. They'll be fine next time. They'll probably, if they might give Potter till the end of the season, at which point he'll probably start doing all right at some point. And if not, I don't know, they'll probably get Mourinho back or something, and he'll do all right for a year. Or they'll get Conte back, and he'll do all right for a year, and then
that's what they do.
On it goes.
Yeah,
and because then the sheer weight of
all of it built on the stolen money of the Russian people.
Exactly, and now built on. I'm not quite sure what an American man's idea that if you sign loads of players on 8-year contracts, it'll be fine, which hopefully it won't be.
Right, we'll get some Warnock on in a minute because we have to. Anybody who's been following Twitter or anything like that across the last week or so has seen him. He's gone beyond parody, beyond anything you can do.
Your work is basically done, Moscow.
Yeah, you need to retire.
I don't think I need to be here for that.
You need to retire the voice, don't you? So we'll get a bit more Chelsea. Some Chelsea going into to propaganda extra, some Newcastle as well, and maybe some West Ham as well on the way in just a minute or two. Let's flip the record. We're continuing on the vinyl thing. We're flipping the single over now, and we're doing the B side of the Misery Mega Mix, are we? Why are we inflicting this on people then, Michael?
People wanted to vent, and frankly, the board deserves some stick, don't they? So it can come from some people other than us.
I don't want to blame any individual players. I don't want to blame Skabala. The board have got so much to answer for. You go back to summer 2021, we've just finished 9th under Bielsa. 3 years of, apart from not going up the first season in the Derby game and all that, nigh on unmitigated success. And I think we were a bit arrogant. The board have got so much to answer for, and all the nonsense with Radrazani's tweets and Orta at the Bournemouth game, and some of Kinnear's comments, and it's just time for the three of them to hold their hands up and leave. It's gone really wrong since then.
One of the criticisms that was levelled at Marcelo Bielsa was that there was no plan B. It was just simply do plan A better. We get rid of Bielsa, bring in Jesse Marsh, who only ever had a plan A that was worse than the plan A that we had from the previous manager. And we sack Jesse Marsh, and the board don't even have a plan A to get a new manager. There's zero plan whatsoever. So it seems to me that the only failing for where we are at the minute is to point is directly straight at the top. Fucking useless.
Who do you blame? You can blame the players. You can't really blame Scoops. It's got to come down to Orta. I've supported him and always backed him, but it's just one bad error after another. Grooming Marshall that time, and then sacking him far too late, and now can't get a new guy in. Absolute shit show.
What's really difficult to stomach so far this season is the kind of realisation that everything that was going right about Leeds United for 4 years was actually just Bielsa. And I think the longer this goes on without him, the kind of clearer it becomes that, Orta screaming at fans that he's the reason we're back in the Premier League after 16 years. To a degree, I get it. He brought Bielsa. But it was Bielsa. His shit signings didn't matter because Bielsa would just shrug and make Mateus Click into prime Ronaldinho. Bielsa got us up. Bielsa kept us up. And without him, we're fucked. And yes, I'm drinking my Buckfast.
Good. They also signed Dan James between them, didn't they? But let's not get onto that.
Yeah, I mean, Bielsa, he had his faults, didn't he? But
he wasn't perfect, but he's the best thing that's happened to this club in a generation.
Well, this was the risk with sacking him when it happened, was who in the football club had more football knowledge, ability
You said
to
this.
execute.
You said this at the time, didn't you?
Well, it was the thing that I was worried about. Like, they'd sacked the person who was the best person to solve all the problems because nobody knew more about football than him at Leeds United. So the question at the time was, and still is, I guess, in retrospect, but was there a different solution? If things weren't working with Bielsa, what were the downsides of sticking with him? If he did take us down, we'd still be in the Championship, but possibly still with Bielsa, who would be better to bring us back up than somebody who'd already done it. And then if he did, who would have been better to have a shot at keeping us up? Because if at the moment, when we're down and out without a manager and we're looking at people like Benitez and anybody with like some experience and somebody who can come in, who has knowledge, Bielsa was basically that person when we sacked him, and we replaced him with somebody very inexperienced at this level who managed to do it anyway, but sort of suggested there was a chance that Bielsa would have done it. And then the other thing was if the players were burnt out and were kind of tired of it, and that does happen with, I think, with any manager after 3 to 4 years. You look at the team now and see how many new players we have, and a different way of refreshing things is to bring in Adams, McKennie, Aronson, Rutter, Verber, Christensen. There's half a new team is there that is provide the freshness that was lacking in towards the end of Bielsa. So you go back and you think, well, the short-term solution at the time, because of the financial risk of relegation, was you sack the manager and you get somebody else in to save the day. The longer-term view that seems to have been lost amid the 18 months to 2 years that Victor Orta spent talking to Jesse Marsh about how he was going to make everything so much better than we had it, which I think was the only reason you would bring him in, was to evolve the team and take us to the next level from where we were. The alternative would be to try and keep the best thing that the club had, which was the manager, and rebuild in a way that makes that work again. Just because Bielsa had stopped working at that time, it seemed like he's the one person who wasn't allowed to fail at any point. So, Victor Orta, you can talk about his good signings, his bad signings, and there's a big balance there, but he still has a job. Angus Kinnear, you can talk about good decisions, bad decisions, still has a job. Andrea Rizzani, good decisions, bad decisions, still owns the club. Players, they have good games and bad games, but they're still here. Bielsa had three of the greatest years we've ever had. We had half a season that was terrible and gone. And no prospect of... and it's not just Leeds. Every football club does this. They don't try to think of, well, if that was good, what can we do to make it good again?
How do we recreate those conditions again?
Yes, and what's the best shot? And they decide... I suppose not every club does it, because Liverpool have been through it twice with Klopp, where everything starts falling to pieces and they do other things. They refresh staff and players around him to make him survive again. And Scum used to do it exactly right when Alex Ferguson was there, where every few years he would have a new assistant who would give something fresh to the players, but he would stay there because he had all the knowledge that they needed, and they could not get anybody better. And the position you're in, Leeds United in the middle of the Premier League, as we were, was the same at Leeds United in the Championship. Who on earth could you imagine as a better coach for Leeds United than Marcelo Bielsa when he came in the Championship? And then, having seen how perfect it had become, when you have murals of the fella around the city, which had never been done for any manager at any time ever in Leeds United's history when they were in the job. And even after the job, I don't know how long it took for us to get anything up for Don Revie, and Howard Wilkinson never had any of this. Maybe that was the thing to keep hold of, and it certainly feels like that's what people have caught up to. And it was the thing that worried me back then, was just like, we are not going to get somebody who knows as much about football, and you're taking your best chance of solving the problems is disappearing with the guy who may have caused the problems, but probably had a lot of solutions there as well.
With Victor Orta, you have to accept this is a very tough job to try and move on, because he is in charge essentially of the whole footballing culture at the club. He has to decide which way it goes after this, and the direction after Bielsa, which they clearly thought was in some ways limiting or problematic because of maybe the way he was, or the way that
injury record or whatever.
The way that the injuries, or the way the tactics seem to have reached a bit of a dead end. But the thing is, he went all in on Marsh and Red Bull. That is the model that we've gone for since then, and it has failed spectacularly. There's no two ways about it that this has not worked. And whether or not what comes next is whether or not the players we've signed to play Jesse Marsh Red Bull football can do anything else. Because if they can't, we're in an awful lot of trouble. Because there is no way out of it.
Footballers are adaptable. I have
you would
faith
hope so,
in them.
but if the whole system is driven towards it, just as the whole, because you can give the board credit equally in the same ways they gave Jesse Marsh everything. They kept Bielsa happy for that many years, which is not an easy job. I realise and his record at other clubs shows, he doesn't tend to stick around because he falls out with people. Sometimes he walks out after days on a job, doesn't he? Because he decides certain things aren't to his liking. And the board obviously managed to give him what he needed and what he asked for long enough that he was able to stay and do a good job. But they did that for Marsh, and you've got to say it looks like it was wasted, because what did you get from it in the end? I know you can say, well, things went wrong to Bielsa, but at least there was a good bit.
Let me offer you a counterpoint then. It's nearly exactly 10 years since we sacked this gentleman. Still in the game. One last challenge, Sharon. Moscow, good luck with trying to do this one afterwards.
A great challenge, really. I mean, it's I always thought, if I was going to come back in at some stage, it would always be sort of the end of Feb. I always said I only want to work sort of 10 weeks a year, if I'm honest. So it was always right. And it was always going to be a club that I love, Cardiff or QPR or Huddersfield. Are you with me? And Sharon's she's always loved Huddersfield, Sharon. So it was, she's actually said to me, why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? So here I am. But it's, I've watched the last couple of games, the Stoke game and the Wigan game, and I think I'm going to ask a lot really to get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think they're great fixtures, you look at the fixtures and you must be a bloody idiot to want to come here till the end of the season. Fortunately, that's what I am, really. So it's it doesn't, you look at the games and, I look at the top three teams all to play, Burnley, Middlesbrough, my old team, and Sheffield United. They're great games, really.
He's playing the hits there, isn't he, Moscow?
It's relentless. Yeah.
I mean, it's that you can see the punchlines coming a mile off, couldn't you? That's the thing.
He really stumbled over that first one as well about getting in the playoffs. He obviously had that in his mind that he was going to use, and then he went, I watched the last games, and I think it's going to be tough to...
The problem is, he's had this time out of the game when he started his Twitter account. He did this little speaking tour, and he's become self-aware. So it's like this is a new version of
Is this like
Warnock.
Skynet in Terminator?
He knows...
Is he going to end the world?
He now knows that these are all his catchphrases. I think there was a point before he retired where he was a bit oblivious to how people regarded him beyond, he didn't realise that he was sort of why people thought he was funny. But he's now had that media training. He's had the tweets where people are getting him to recreate things that he's done that have become memes. So now he knows all about that. So he knows...
He's playing to it, yeah.
Yeah, he knows the hits to roll out. And there is absolutely nothing you can do about a self-aware Neil Warnock apart from just stay out of Huddersfield until he's gone.
He's done his little speaking tour as well, hasn't he? And he's gone round his various clubs.
So he'll know what gets all the laughs and he'll know what people want to hear. And it's just, it's such a weird situation, especially the Huddersfield team that seems to have like with Hoggy there and Jordan Rhodes and there's who else is in
Danny Ward.
There's Danny Ward.
Fantastic.
It's like the team
and Tom Lees, of course,
has been waiting in sort of suspended animation since 2012 for him to come back. It's not like he has to learn any new players or anything different. It's as if he's walked into a dressing room and all his old lads are there. So
his old lads at Huddersfield, in fairness, are all retired now.
I think Boothie still has a job there.
He does.
So it's not a million miles away. It's just So he is recreating 2012. And of course they won. Of course, that was the thing about the weekend from Leeds' point of view. It wasn't just that we lost to Everton. It's Southampton beat Chelsea. Forest drew with Manchester City. Huddersfield won. The only good thing was West Ham losing. That was about the only thing that went our way, wasn't it? It was. Obviously the first game he's going to come back from a goal down and win.
Right, we'll wrap up the show. We've got some clips to play before we go. Do you want to do the West Ham one? Or we definitely got to finish on the Chelsea one?
The West Ham one requires a bit of examination. So let's. He's used an expression here, and I don't think he knows what it means.
I think we started the game well. I think we went toe-to-toe with them in the first half. I think we were maybe clinging on at times when they were driving forward and we didn't really seem to have an idea what to do. But, listen, it's another notch on the bedpost for Moyes, but going the wrong way, isn't it?
I'm not wrong on this, am I?
So, a notch on the bedpost.
That's sleeping with people, yeah?
Yep, believe so. Wouldn't know.
Is it a thing now?
Been married for a number of years now, thanks.
Is it a thing now in the Premier League that if you lose, the other manager has to sleep with you?
Does he mean he has to sand the notch off?
He's put some notches in and he's got to
he's got to take them off again.
Put filler in.
But I mean, it begs some interesting questions about the way things are working down there.
Yeah.
Have you got any bad notches on the bedpost? I mean,
I don't have a bedpost. It's a particle board IKEA bed frame.
Oh, I don't want to start chipping into that.
If I start chipping into that, it's down the whole thing.
Yeah.
Over. What did West Ham do again? Who did they play?
They lost 2-0 to Tottenham Hotspur.
Right, good. Should we hear from the the Chelsea fans just to finish up this show then. Because, you know, it's a nice way to circle back to the start. The needle has gone back into the return groove of the vinyl, to just continue this dreadful metaphor.
I'm still thinking about regrettably sleeping with David Moyes and him doing a somber chisel of another one. Oh, God.
as you perform the walk of shame to go home in the morning. Oh, dear.
But yes, Chelsea, they're...
David Moyes' bedpost of sad notches.
Here's Chelsea then. This is the end of the show.
If you want to come down fucking Stamford Bridge any fucking day and meet me outside the fucking Thai restaurant, don't fucking give it the big un with your mate Stretters about me and fucking Tony. You can find me any fucking time outside Stamford Bridge, as you fucking know. So if you fucking want to fucking have it, don't fucking gob it off, because I'm fucking up for it.
I'll give it you.
I fucking heard the messages. All right, you fucking insulting people. Come down and I'm fucking up for it. Bring who you
Big
fucking
up, Steve.
want,
Big
man.
up, Steve.
All right?
Where'd you stand up?
Is that Steve?
I guess that was Steve.
So there was a suggestion there that he hangs around the Thai restaurant near Stamford Bridge 24/7 waiting to fight people. Is that correct?
I think so, yeah.
Right.
I enjoy the mixture that you do get within this, because I guess those people wouldn't have all necessarily been hanging around out together at a game. But this very angry Cockney man, and then halfway through, I don't know where the final guy's from, but he just goes, "Big up, Steve." I just get the feeling in everyday life he doesn't have a mate at the side of him going, "Yeah, big up, Steve. Good. You should hit him in the face, Steve."
I found a Szechuan restaurant. I'll keep looking. Bear with me. Carry on talking.
Well, I'm not going down there. Christ, have you heard Steve?
Yeah, he sounds absolutely terrifying, doesn't he?
You sounded a bit confused as well. Like, if you want to fight him, don't give it the big un.
I think I found it.
I thought
Thai
it's people giving
called-
it the big un that would want to fight him. It doesn't, I'm not sure what the criteria are for crossing the threshold.
He wants to punch someone who's a bit more meek.
Moscow, I like your Cockney accent, so can you deliver the final line of the show? Just to tell people where to go. So the restaurant is called Thai Square, and it's at the junction of the Fulham Road and the Fulham Broadway. So can you just do that for me, please?
You know how it Fulham Road, Fulham Broadway, and that's where I'll be.
Thai Square,
and wherever I'll tear up, and maybe some dinner.
Yes, thank you. There we go. Some propaganda extra on the way with some bonus clips for members. Look out for that in your feed. We'll speak to you soon.
The Square Ball Podcast.